This is the 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee L. And for 2023, there is now a 3-row version. That makes it a better competitor with the Kia Telluride. That's one reason we're doing a comparison today. You will find seating available for 6 or 7 passengers. And if you're looking for an SUV that has an impressive list of standard and optional advanced driving aids, a classy interior design with roomy seating, and obviously, since it's a Jeep, better off-road capability than most 3-row SUVs and stout towing capacity, well, the 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee L might be for you. And for those of you who are always saying, Tom, we want to see lower trim levels, don't always show us the highest trim level, this is the Laredo, most certainly not the highest trim level, but it's not lacking either. Let's take a look at exactly what we have, and we're going to hit the high points to see, is this a better option than the 2023 Kia Telluride? And a great place to start our comparison. Base pricing. Well, which model wins out? The Jeep Grand Cherokee L starts at $41,395, while the Kia Telluride comes in at $43,290. And while that may not be a significant difference, a couple of $1,000 basically, well, in case you were wondering, now you know. One thing I like here, and I guess you kind of have to be a gearhead to really appreciate this kind of thing, but that's the fact that here with this Jeep Grand Cherokee L, if I can get the hood up, well, you can see that it goes up by itself. It has the hydraulic struts there to raise the hood and keep it raised. You don't have to go hunting around for that pesky rod to manually stick in place. Now, comparisons between what's under the hood here and what's under the hood of the Telluride. Obviously, this is a 4x4. Going to have a 3.6 liter V6 under the hood, making 295 horsepower. The Telluride has the 3.8 liter under the hood, also a 6-cylinder, 291 horsepower. And torque numbers for the Telluride come in at 262, while the torque numbers are pretty much the same with the Jeep Grand Cherokee L's 3.6 liter V6, 260 pounds-feet. And the transmission in both is an 8-speed automatic. But one thing that you might want to know about, obviously, MPGs, let's talk about that. Here with the Jeep Grand Cherokee L, you're looking at 19 city, 26 out on the highway, and 21 combined. It uses 4.8 gallons of gas per every 100 miles driven and has a 23-gallon gas tank. On the other hand, with the Telluride, you're looking at 20 miles per gallon city, 26 out on the highway. And obviously, well, you can see the underside of the Jeep Grand Cherokee L. You can also see that there is a spare tire there under the vehicle, not within the interior or in the rear cargo area. Why is that an advantage? It increases cargo capacity because underneath the floor, well, there's more space. But before we get to that, I do want to share one thing that's interesting with you about this rear door. There are 2 buttons, one on the left, one on the right here. Make sure you know the difference between the two. The one on the left over here, when you push that, let's see if I can find it, you're going to hear the horn honk. Then the one on the right is the one that will actually open this rear door, just in case you happen to have one of these and, well, maybe your salesman didn't tell you about that or something like that, and you go to open it and you find out, kind of like I did earlier when I was picking this up from Hebert's Town and Country here in Shreveport, Louisiana. So let's talk about numbers here, comparing the two. Cargo capacity with the Grand Cherokee L comes in at 17.2 up to 84.6 cubic feet with seat area. The Telluride, well, a little bit more, 21 cubic feet to start, but 87 max with seat area. Now, the thing about towing here, let's talk about the competitors. The Telluride tows 5,000 pounds. The Pilot tows 5,000 pounds, the Explorer tows 5,600 pounds, and the 4Runner tows 5,000 pounds. So, where does the Grand Cherokee L win out? In that it tows a maximum 6,200 pounds. So if you're looking for that max towing to be up as high as possible, this is definitely the vehicle you need to go for. Lowering the rear seats, very easy to do. You just have a couple of latches you release right here. The seats fold manually. Now this is the Laredo trim level, so a lot of things are going to be manual here instead of pushing a button and having it go down automatically. Not a big deal, very easy to put down and to pull back up. You'll have to do the middle row seats the same way. You have to do those from that area, but not a big deal at all. Talking about the middle and the rear seats here, let's hop into the interior and see what you can find there. And as your rear seat passengers go to hop into either the middle row or the rear row, well, they're going to see the door panel right here. Very nice, tastefully done. Like I said, you've got some very nice high-end materials within the interior. White contrast stitching, not only here on the door panel, on the armrest itself, but also on the seats. And it's very easy to get into the rear seating area. Just pull up on that latch on the top of the outside of either seat on the driver or passenger sides. And here's the good news. The seats can move back and forth. So that means there's an increase for leg space, at least an opportunity to increase leg space. In fact, I'll push this seat back, or all the way up, we'll say, and show you on the screen the difference. I don't know that anybody's going to have these seats this far up, but that kind of shows you how far they can go. Rear seat passengers will find drink holders and individual air conditioning vents on the Laredo trim level. And you have tri-zone climate control here. Obviously, you've got kind of a nerve center of sorts here where the middle seat passengers can control temperature, fan speed, a multitude of things. Also, they have their own air conditioning vents, not only here on the rear of the center console, but also in the door pillars right here, if I can get that out of my mouth without stuttering, right? And also a couple of different options for USB ports. And there is a pass-through right here. If the kids maybe don't want to move the seats out of the way to get in and out, they can just run through here. That makes it very simple. Now, on this trim level, you will find a little bit larger than conventional size sunroof, but obviously on higher trim levels, you will find a panoramic sunroof. All right, and as I hop into the driver's seat, we'll hit the push button start and get everything up and running here within the interior. Everything you expect to find here on the driver's side door is going to be there, all the different controls and everything that you need. Now, one thing you will find here that looks great, the instrument cluster. Has a lot of great options, features, and functionality there, things you can go through. You've got the shifter paddles on the steering wheel and a nice leather-wrapped steering wheel. It is very comfortable. Your steering wheel mounted controls are there. And above the infotainment screen, several different options for several different features, including turning off that auto stop start feature. That button is there. And you've got traction control, hazard lights, and a few other features as well. And you might say, Tom, why do I need to turn off that auto stop start feature? It's just not good for your motor. It's not saving enough gas to justify using it because it's not good to start and stop regularly on some of the internal components of the engine. Yeah, that's right. Even if it has a beefed up starter, that really doesn't matter, just so you know. Anyway, let's focus on the infotainment screen here. A very nice and simple to use infotainment screen, chocked full of all kinds of options and features. You can pair your phone. You've got everything you would expect here. A nice clear rear view camera, and while you ultimately have one view and you can zoom in and out if you need to, that is there. It looks great. And looking across the whole of the dashboard, I like the design and the way it's set up here. You've got the contrast with the way everything looks that gives it some depth. It just makes it look better, kind of multi-dimensional of sorts. And then here's your multi-zone climate control. You actually have tri-zone climate control here because you have dual in the front and single in the rear. So there is tri-zone climate control. Everything easy to figure out here. And below that, a 12-volt power outlet, 2 more USB ports, and some storage there if you want to stick your phone or the passenger wants to stick their phone down there. By the way, you've got a power driver's seat here on the Laredo trim level, but a manually adjustable passenger seat. Still very comfortable, very easy to adjust. If you look down there and you say, you know, I want to hide all of that away, well, there's how you do that. And behind all of that is the gear selector. I wouldn't really call that a shifter. It's a gear selector because it's a rotary dial. Tell me what you think about that. Do you like that? Would you rather see a conventional shifter down here on the center console, or maybe even a shifter on the steering column? cup holders, and last but not least, you have a couple of options here with your center console. There's an area in the top, a little bit smaller right there, and then you have the deeper and larger area right there that even has a light inside of it, so probably can't see that too well during the day here, but just so you can see what's there. And it is at a nice height where it can double as an armrest. Now, last but not least, what about the test drive? Let's get out on the road and see how this Jeep Grand Cherokee L gets from point A to point B. Okay, we're out on the test drive now. And one thing I noticed in my research of the Jeep here, some were saying that the motor under the hood, the 3.6 liter V6, was underpowered. The acceleration was underwhelming. Well, kind of makes me wonder what they may have stepped out of before they reviewed this particular model and wrote their article, because, excuse me, personally, I don't think it's too bad. And keep in mind, I'm a race car driver. I'm a drag racer, so I'm used to very fast vehicles that accelerate extremely well, extremely hard. So for me to say that it's impressive, well, it's not bad. I mean, it's not, going to slam you back in the seat or anything like that. A little bit less than 300 horsepower, but still, it gets down the road with absolutely no problem. And I don't know if anybody can see the speedometer on the dashboard right now. You probably can't from your angle, but if you can and you're thinking, good night, you got up to 109 miles per hour, well, I didn't realize until I hopped in here for the test drive that it's actually set to kilometers per hour. So David, if you're watching, now you know. It is kind of laughable in a way, but overall, the ride quality is good. For a vehicle that has great off-roading capabilities, really at the top of the class, as it were, the on-road manners and handling and overall ride quality is not bad. It's not going to beat you to death. It's actually quite comfortable. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability today, because I don't have my videographer with me, to sit in the middle or rear seats and tell you what that ride quality is like. But I would imagine it's not too bad, just based on what I'm experiencing here in the front seat. Typically, you can kind of get an idea, a general idea, when you ride in the front seat of what the rest of the vehicle is like as well. Steering is good. It's not sports car like or anything like that, but it's good. It works well. I'm comfortable with the overall way the vehicle drives and handles. Everything seems to be pretty easy to get to. You've got the buttons up here. Once you know what's what, you remember where they are. Muscle memory, as some people call it. Well, you just push what you need to. It's very easy to reach from where I'm sitting, at least, and where I have everything positioned. You do have a tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. It is manually adjustable, at least here on the Laredo trim level. But just so you know, everything here pretty simple to use and figure out. Obviously not the highest trim level, so there's a lot of options that we don't necessarily have here. Maybe we'll take a look at a higher trim level here in the very near future, but because so many of you often say, Tom, we want to see a lower trim level instead of the highest trim levels, well, I made sure that's what I pulled from inventory today from Hebert's Town & Country. So now that we've hit on some of the high points, comparing the Jeep Grand Cherokee L to the Kia Telluride, tell me down in the comments what you think. Which model is a better option, and tell me why. Gotta say a special thanks to my friends at Hebert's Town & Country for loaning me this Jeep Grand Cherokee L for the day. If you want to know more about it, check the link in the description of the video. And a special thanks to each and every one of you for giving me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and you want to know about other vehicles, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I'll see you there.